Okay, we're on this fan shaft on this John Deere A. This is where the bearing race goes. This should be the same size all the way down. So the bearing race was still tight. So this is the original size. And that gear, I don't know how much is off in it. Quite a lot. It measures, what is it, 780 or 785? I don't remember now. But anyway, this is junk. Because I can't weld this oversize and still get a bearing on it the way it's made. So, need some new parts. Or, you know, new to me parts. So, I was upstairs looking for stuff. And I did find the hand start that goes on your electric flywheel. So, I found that up there. I got another one somewhere, but I wanted to show you. This is a this is off a 1943B. Exhaust broke off. I'm gonna have a set down here, and I'm gonna tell you a little 10-minute story about this. So this is kind of a short story. That camera can't be right. That looks better. Looks like he's pointing at my feet. So anyway, I had a 6-horse Hercules. And it was one of them with a serial number S. And on its original cat, nice engine, nothing wrong with it. And it was a pain in the ass to store it in the barn. It just took up so much space. So I decided I could use another John Deere B, because I like John Deere Bs, and yet I never find a B. I always find these A's, and I like a B better than an A. I don't know why, they're just nimble and they get around good. And I'm never really trying to pull a lot. So, you know, a B is a nice tractor, I think. And anyway, getting back to the story, I put it in Uncle Henry's, which is a swap magazine around this part of the country. And, for 5 days, this guy calls up and he says, I think I was asking $1,000 for that engine, which was about average price then. And he says, are you interested in trading anything? And I says, well, what do you got? And he says, I got a John Deere B. And I says, is it in good shape? He says, oh, he says, perfect condition. He said, it's all painted up, ready to go to the show. I said, well, bring it over and let me look at it. So he brings it over on the trailer, and it had a $3,000 paint job on it. And he says, well, it's been setting while the clutch is stuck. And I figured with the clutch a little bit. I said, this is probably adjustment, got a little rust on it or something. So I didn't think nothing of it. So we threw it neutral and rolled it off the thing. And he wouldn't take the other engine unless that one was running, you know, which I should have said, you start this son of a bitch, you know, but I didn't. I trusted him. And this is where, you know, once bitten, twice shy. So off he goes with my $1,000 engine, and I've got this John Deere B sitting there that looked like perfect. So I'm looking her over, and I noticed the muffler was just a little crooked, and I went over and I took a hold of it, and it's like, oh shit. So that radiator outlet there, or muffler support that goes on the radiator, I guess it's the radiator outlet too, or inlet, whatever you want to call it. And that was broke, and he had shoved wood up in there. And it's like, oh boy. So I got it off, and first thing I did was take the hood off. Didn't really see nothing, you know, other than that. It's like, okay. I happened to have another carcass down back that I picked up somewhere, and it happened to be a 43. Because the 43s were different than a lot of the other ones. Different part number. So I had the right piece. I come out and I fixed it. I'm like, perfect, I'll fix the clutch. So I start loosening up the clutch. As soon as I got everything loose, the crankshaft was junk. This thing here wouldn't even tighten onto it. It was bottomed right out, junk. So it's like, oh boy, this guy really got me. So I take that off, take the first reduction off. First reduction's junk. Carburetor had a crack in it. It was one that he never could get to run because it would always leak gas through it. And that was bad. The mag was bad. And I can't remember if that one had a cracked block in it too. And then I found out, I was at an engine show and somebody said, geez, I see so-and-so has your engine. And I says, yeah. I said, boy, did I take a screw in on that. And he says, he said, I wish I'd have known. He said, I'd have told you not to deal with that guy. He says, he's a tractor, John Deere tractor, collector and restorer. And he put a tractor together with all of his parts that he had replaced over the years. Just junk. Absolute junk. The son of a bitch knew that none of it was any good. And, I mean, that tractor, it was probably worth $200 or $300 for scrap. The tin was good on it. I will give him that much. But I put a new crank in it. I went all through it and got it all done. And I never did find that crack in that carburetor. I couldn't stop that carburetor from leaking gas through it. And I traded it off with a friend. I says, the carburetor, it needs a new carburetor. And he had a friend of his that was real good with carburetors, and they made a jig where they could actually put it all together and put fuel to it with the thing apart somehow. I don't know how they did it, but they may have done it with compressed air upside down. I'm not really sure, but they found the crack in it and fixed it. And it was just I think it had been froze with water in it or something, and I just couldn't see it because I had sandblasted it. So of course that covers all that shit up. And the whole thing was just junk. So getting back to that story, this here I bought off Ryan. And Ryan is just the opposite. When I bought this, the engine was stuck. Not bad, but it was stuck. I asked Ryan, I says, will it run? He says, don't know. He says, it's how I got it. And that's how he sells stuff. If he opens it up and says, oh, it's got a bad fan shaft, then he is honest enough that he will tell you everything that he knows about it. So he just leaves them closed up and says, you're buying what I bought. And he sells them reasonable. I mean, I don't have much money in this. I could part it out and get my money, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to do this. And this is the only real snag I've run into is this fan shaft. And I knew, when he brought it, it was like, oh boy, that's loose, So we knew that when we did the trade, and I'm real happy with it. I think it's going to make a neat toy. Something a little different. And anyway, that's a story about taking a real shellacking on a John Deere B. We've all been on the receiving end of one of those. And I'll tell you right now, I've never, ever done that to anybody. There are people that can go through life and they don't, have any conscience at all as to what they're doing to somebody else, But anyway, that's probably all it's going to be on this video. We got 8:30. I'm supposed to be out in the greenhouse, so I just washed my hands up a little bit. And I'm going to head out there and we're going to plant tomatoes today. It's that time of year, Tomatoes are really the last big push. Once we get that done, everything is direct seed. And the direct seed stuff grows fast enough that you do that like 3 weeks before you want to sell it. So that stuff's still out there a couple of weeks. So it's kind of nice. Carol, she's got everything out of the house now. The living room where she starts the seeds in that box, that's all empty. All the seed packets are put away. And probably after this rain that we're getting for 2 or 3 days, we'll take that box out and put it in the barn again. And yeah, so that's the story. So I got to call Ryan See how many of these John Deere A governor shafts he's got that's any good. I've got a tube upstairs that's good. Might even be better than the one I got down here. So I may use that tube. But we'll see what Ryan comes up with. And if he don't have anything, I'll have to get creative. That gear doesn't appear to be hardened. I can take my file and peel the metal right off it. So as bad as I hate to say it, I can always, I think, but it's a cast iron gear, I believe. It may not be cast iron, it may be steel. I don't know if I weld it, if it's going to make it hard on the hinges of hell so you can't do anything with it. This is all the stuff that you worry about. But anyway, it's going to be an adventure. Yeah, keep safe everybody, and we will see you on the next one.